You know, they're selling y'all wolf tickets, people. You're eating them right up.
Hey, pussy, are you still there?
I back. Trust me, I back.
But I'm not impressed by your performance.
You'll do nothing. You'll do nothing. Shut your fucking mouth, you'll do nothing. You'll do fucking nothing. Not one of you'll do nothing.
I'll tell you what, bro. You know, I was out there, I was fighting all the hitters, bro. You ain't fought no hitters.
Come on, guys. It's normal.
I'm not saying I would fight you. I would kill you.
John, do you think John, do you think I'm just gonna sit there and let you kill me, John? I mean, really?
No, don't be scared, homie.
I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody. The double champ does what the fuck he wants.
I am gonna beat you into the living death. I mean, maybe that's your job, but where I come from, you know, people like that get slapped.
That's fucking illegal.
Nick Diaz, you just shook up the world. How's that feel?
Hey, I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
Yeah, this is a simulated death match. And you haven't simulated anybody's death yet.
I said it last year. We're not here just to take part. We're here to take over.
What is the game plan going in against him?
The game plan is you go in there, hit him with some good shit, don't get hit, and come home with a pocket full of cash.
Who the fuck is that guy?
Everybody's on steroids. The whole UFC, everybody.
I'm gonna go home tonight. I'm gonna drink a Coors Light. That's a Coors Light because Bud Light won't pay me nothing.
Do you want to be a fighter? That is my question.
Any of you radio personalities think you want smoke? Call me Mr. Chimney. I want smoke.
Yes. Another daily edition of the show, Mixed Combat Radio, where we cover all things boxing and MMA and everything in between, live on YouTube, 10 p.m. in the UK, 5 p.m. in the Eastern Time, and 2 p.m. in the Pacific Standard Time. Obviously, podcast forum, iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, etc. And you know, where if you're listening right now, hit the like button, share the show, subscribe, leave a review. If you're listening on podcast form, all that other stuff, you know what it is. Aside, I am Matt, the Hipster Hunter. You can find me at Matt Hunter, MCR, all platforms. Hipsters here. Haters, beware.
I want smoke.
I feel like I want some smoke today. I definitely want some smoke today. So call in 323-870-4051. Fanboys, come on, call in. I want to debate here. Someone that's worthy of my skills and intellect, please call in. Because again,
I want smoke.
I want that smoke. But let's move on to obviously the news of the day. Because like I said, it's all things boxing, all things MMA, and everything in between. Let's talk about the news of the day, obviously, because there's not that much. And for the MMA side of the show, there's not much as well for that one. But there's an interesting story about the Flash Entertainment sale of their portion of the UFC. Can't wait to talk about that one. Quickly shout out to people in the chat: Rick, MB, Wayne, Rabisky, and Nija, Kyle, Rob, everyone else that's not in the chat, but that is also a pound-for-pound supporter. Fugatti, Castle Hill Gill, Pittsburgh Brew, all you guys and women, salute to you. You guys make this possible. Again, patreon.com/Mixed Combat Radio to help support the channel in any way. We are completely a fan-driven show, and you guys are my board of directors. But like I've already said, let's move on to the news of the day. Eddie Hearn coming out in an interview saying that Kell Brook could most likely move down to 147 for a fight, a big fight, because that's what he wants, with obviously Amir Khan, but also Manny Pacquiao. And this one kind of threw me for a loop, to be honest. I don't think it's likely, but it's interesting. Obviously, the talk of the town is that Manny Pacquiao's team has met with Eddie Hearn. It seems to be that when Amir Khan wins today against Samuel Vargas, and we're going to talk about some news about that fight later in the show as well, that basically it aligned to, hey, Manny Pacquiao not meeting with Eddie. This fight always seems likely. It's a winnable fight for Manny Pacquiao. It's a fight he can probably get a knockout in as well. And if you're Amir Khan, you might think you can outbox an older, faded Manny Pacquiao. And then now the inclusion of Kell Brook, it's interesting to me. I don't think it's likely. I think it's, if you're Kell Brook, or at least I should say if you're Manny Pacquiao, Kell Brook doesn't seem like an option that you would want to fight, just to be quite honest. And also on top of that, Kell Brook moving down to 147. There's question marks about that. How can he cut the weight off in a healthy way? That would be interesting to see, obviously. But again, what's happening with Manny Pacquiao? He is still obviously a mega force in this division, just from name value, name recognition alone. Because don't get it wrong, anyone in boxing wants Manny Pacquiao and that name on the resume. Whether it be Keith Thurman, Errol Spence, Terrence Crawford, Vasily Lomachenko, Kell Brook, Amir Khan, Danny Garcia, Sean Porter, they would all take a Manny Pacquiao fight, right? Like that's most likely. Let's be honest here. But again, would Pacquiao take their fight? He is still, I think, sort of in the driver's seat because he is Manny fucking Pacquiao. And again, will he go to Matchroom? Will he go back to Bob Arum and ESPN? I don't know. I think there's a lot of things up in the air. It seems like Manny Pacquiao is done with Bob Arum and ESPN in some way, shape, or form. If that's completely, I think Eddie Hearn, with the options he has, makes probably the most sense because those are the more winnable fights. I think the Dannys, the Sean Porters of the world, the Keith Thurmans, the Earl Spence, that would look pretty dangerous for Manny Pacquiao. So going to Showtime, going to PBC, that doesn't make a lot of sense. You know, and even to do it like in a free agent way, a la Mike Garcia, I just don't see that likely. I see Manny Pacquiao looking at the pros and cons of that, and the cons probably outweigh the pros with that list of opponents. But with Amir Khan, Kell Brook, the pros probably outweigh the cons there. And again, if you're Eddie Hearn, you are desperate for a name. You are. You know, the Charlos, the Mike Garcias of the world, those have not materialized, even though you keep saying is. To, you know, snag even a faded Manny Pacquiao matters. And to attach him with Amir Khan or Kell Brook in his first fight would do, you know, good numbers in the sense. I don't know how good it would do in terms of that streaming service, but it would definitely be good for the bottom line. It can't hurt, right? It has to be a net positive for them to bring on Manny Pacquiao for whatever price tag you're going to get him for, because he obviously brings that sort of histrionics to it, where he is Manny Pacquiao. He has all the history, the legacy behind it, so he sort of brings that to your platform. And on top of that, he brings in that market, that Filipino-American market, which is still, I would say, a underrated market in boxing, especially in the North American side of it. The Philippine market specifically has a huge presence online, just in boxing overall. So to add on to DAZN coming into the U.S., there is a Filipino-American market that he could tap into with a guy like Manny Pacquiao, and they will pay for it. They pay for his pay-per-views. They will absolutely pay for the streaming service to watch him fight Amir Khan or Kell Brook or whoever it is. Now, can they close the deal? Totally different thing. Leave a comment below, or again, call in 323-870-4051. Press 1 to get in the queue. Or if you are international, you can call in. Email me, mixcommentradio@gmail.com. I give that international call-in link to call in absolutely free if you are from the UK or anywhere else listening in. But let's move on. Again, leave a comment below what you think will happen with Manny Pacquiao, Amir Khan, Kell Brook, and that sort of a, you know, triumphative or whatever that's called from the Roman era with Julius Caesar and such. It's that, you know, three-headed dragon in a sense. You know, how are they going to figure this one out? And it's going to be interesting. But moving on, like I've said, Mike Garcia finally, you know, getting in that mode where he's like, okay,
I want smoke.
Okay, Mikey, saying, I'd fight Loma, but I've heard nothing from them. And you know me, I'm a little bit more of a fan of Loma than Mikey, I'll be honest. I just think Mikey is a little bit, to use maybe a term that's a little bit derogative, basic, even though he's quite effective. I just view him as a little more of a basic fighter. But this is interesting, and I'm going to read his little quote here. In reference to Lomachenko, Mike Garcia is saying, it seems that the plans with this promoter are to face Pedraza in a unification. I have not heard anything from them. Whoa, anything. I'm ready to face whoever it is.
I want smoke.
Lomachenko is the fight I want at lightweight. And there's no better fight and then Garcia Lomachenko at 135.
Any of you radio personalities think you want smoke?
We hear you, Mikey.
Call me Mr. Chimney. I want smoke.
We hear you. This is good, though. I'm not going to really like try to dive into it, see who's right, who's wrong, who's ducking who. Like, that doesn't matter to me. We now have Mikey echoing what guys like Igas Klimas have said and Lomachenko have said, which they want the fight. Good. I'm ecstatic about that. So, again, I'm not going to sit here and sort of piece who's right here, who has the upper hand. I think the boxing public, us fans, us consumers, we want Garcia Lomachenko. I think obviously some of us will tune in to a Spence Garcia fight or obviously Garcia Comey fight or Lomachenko Pedraza, but the fight we all want is Garcia Lomachenko. And now that it seems that both sides are now finally mentioning each other's name and saying, I want it to happen, it seems like it's going to happen next year. Obviously, Lomachenko's coming off an injury. It was always in the books for him to fight the Beltran Pedraza winner. I'm not surprised by that. And I think Mikey using that as sort of a deflection isn't that great, but it is what it is. And again, I think that it's at least just good. It's a net positive that Mikey is saying, I want to fight Lomachenko. That is the best fight. There is no better fight for me than that guy. Good. We're all on the same page now. Now let's get the fight happening. Let's make it happen next year. You know, first half, I would love it, but if it doesn't, I'm not going to be too upset. As long as it happens next year, I'll be pretty much content with both these guys. If, let's say, Mikey fights Comey in December, November time, obviously Lomachenko fights Pedraza, and they take another tune-up after that, would I not be the happiest? I wouldn't be, but as long as, you know, that light is there at the end of the tunnel, I'm good. I'm completely okay with it. Even an a la Andre Ward Kovalev light contract, God, there needs to be more of those. How has boxing promoters and networks not figured out that is the easiest way to get what they want and make us hardcore shut the fuck up? Because think about it, when we talk about like a Wilder Joshua, it's most of the time we want that fight, we want nothing else, right? That's usually how it's discussed. But to be honest, if they came out and they've discussed this before, and they had the fight signed, and in the contract it said, hey, we're going to fight 1 or 2 tune-ups beforehand, we would not care. We would be hyped as fuck. We didn't care with Andre Ward Kovalev. It obviously worked out for them. I think it works out with these sort of fights. I don't know how the industry has not figured out that is a way to make these big fights happen, to make every party happy, where you can get those tune-ups, you get those showcases that you need, while still making the big fight happen and appeasing your hardcore fan base. But that's probably a topic for another day. Leave a comment below. Again, call in 323-870-4051. Numbers right there below on the screen. Press 1 to get in the queue, or call in internationally. Email me, mixedcommentradio@gmail.com, and get you that international call-in link. Let's move on to the next piece of news. So like I've said, Amir Khan, Samuel Vargas, stitching back to that, it will be shown to us fans in the U.S. absolutely free. That is if you have, obviously like Wi-Fi and, devices. But digressing, Amir Khan, Samuel Vargas is going to be streamed on DAZN's official social media platforms, a la Periscope and Twitter, and a la Facebook. I think it's a good move. Obviously, when this was all first announced with DAZN, it was kind of implied this fight was going to be on DAZN, and then it ended up it wasn't. They're going to open with AJ Povetkin, which is fine. I'm okay with that. It's the bigger fight. It kind of makes the most sense to actually roll out your streaming service with that fight instead of Amir Khan and Samuel Vargas. But this is good to get us hardcores tuning into them, going to their site, whether it be Facebook or Twitter, giving them more impressions, etc. I think that's what they're sort of looking for. And I think it's a smart move. Again, it's not like it's the most savviest move around. I think it kind of makes obvious sense. And the fact that more networks and promoters aren't doing it is just downright almost criminal or just ignorant on their part. But at least DAZN's sort of figuring, hey, we have this fight that we could have rights to in the U.S. Let's have rights to it. Let's show it for free. And it'd be this big, huge commercial for later in the month. And again, Amir Khan, even though it's Samuel Vargas, Amir Khan is still a name. This fight is still going to pull in pretty good viewership, probably on Facebook and Twitter. This will pull in millions of views on those platforms combined. And again, it's a big, giant commercial for a streaming service you are rolling out. I think it's fantastic. And again, it allows me to see the fight without having to find a illegal stream, which I am completely ecstatic about. Moving on to another UK fighter, Joyce, in the news with his opponent confirmed, and Brandon Figueroa, both on the card for Victor Ortiz, John Molina card. Joyce will be fighting Igor Kaladze. I don't know how to spell that name, or not spell it. Say it. Igor Kaladze. If anyone in the chat knows how to pronounce it, like phonetically, let me know. That'd be interesting. But Brandon Figueroa, a phenomenal prospect, fighting Oscar Escandón in this event. I think that's fantastic. Even though Oscar Escandón's coming off a 2-fight losing streak to Gary Russell Jr. and King Tug Nambar, which is a fantastic amateur prospect, but I think he still has some sort of name value, to use the lack of a better term, for Brandon Figueroa, who is undefeated, who, in my opinion, probably looks a little bit better than his brother Omar, which you obviously probably know more than Brandon Figueroa. So I actually really love that matchup. Plus, Joey Spencer on the card. F.A. Ajabi is back on this card after the whole Curtis Harper situation. So that's going to be nice to see. Yargo, MB says. Yargo, what about the last name? Kiladze. That's a tough one. Shout out to the Eastern Europeans. But Yago over there fighting Joyce, I'm not too impressed with that one. Now, to be fair, if you're Joyce and you're a silver medalist in the Olympics with your sort of knockout style, to use a lack of a better term, if you're a top 15 opponent, you're not facing this guy at 5-0. You're just not. It doesn't make monetary sense. Your promoter, your manager is telling you, hey, you're not going to do that. So he's going to have to fight guys that lost to these guys. So Yago has lost to Michael Hunter, who just lost to Alexander Usyk. Has lost to Adam Wanaki, who's fighting Charles Martin coming up. So he's not a guy that is a complete bum, but he's also always been knocked out. All 3 of his losses are due to knockout. So we can probably infer that Joyce, a guy with a 100% knockout ratio, Olympic medalist, should get the knockout here in spectacular fashion. And I think sort of as his debut on PBC, hopefully have that showcase performance. So I'm not going to be too upset about it because, again, he's still 5-0. It's going to be hard to get these opponents. Again, not too upset about that one. Moving on to the next piece of news, last boxing topic of the day. So if you want to call in and only talk boxing, call in right now, 323-870-4051. Press 1 to get in the queue. But to digress to the topics of the day, or the last boxing topic of the day, I should say, Andrew Maloney versus Luis Concepcion, picked up by ESPN+. Also, Tim Tszyu will be on the card facing Marcos Cornejo, which that should be a fun fight. Andrew Maloney versus Luis Concepcion is also a fun fight. If you've heard the Maloney name, his brother, what's his name? Peter, whatever his name is, he's fighting Emmanuel Rodriguez in the World Boxing Super Series card. They're twin Australian boxers. Good amateur pedigree and background as well. Going to be interesting to see what they can do here going up against better competition. Andrew against Luis Concepcion and the other brother against Emmanuel Rodriguez. Going to be interesting to see how they pull out here, especially since Australian boxing seems to have not done so well recently, to be quite honest. So, again, hopefully they come out here on top. I think the Australian market's always been a market that when they have names, they are hardcore fans. Similar to the UK, maybe similar to Mexico as well. They show out for boxing when there's a name they care about. The Maloney twins have that potential, in my opinion. And again, ESPN Plus pick up a good little, double header there that should be action-packed and seemingly investing in Tim Tszyu. Obviously, the son of Hall of Famer Kasazu. Going to be interesting to see what his career looks like, especially with his last fight now being under review, basically because they feel like the fight was fixed in a way. Going to be interesting to see what happens there. His opponent in that last fight basically just took a single shot that was glancing and just went down, didn't get back up. But to move over to MMA portions of the day or MMA news topics of the day, again, call in 323-870-4051 to get in the queue, or I should say to call in. Press 1 to get in the queue. If you are international, email me, mixsummit@gmail.com, and I give that international call-in link. But like I said, digressing to MMA news of the day, Junior Dos Santos versus Tai Tuivasa, sort of being in the works for the UFC Fight Night Adelaide in Australia. Tuivasa obviously being of Pacific Islander descent, having that mark and that demographic background, sort of being, I think, what the UFC is hoping for as the next Mark Hunt in terms of that drawing power as a heavyweight without maybe the losing streak and all those losses. Tuivasa, now an undefeated pro at this point in time, 10-0, 8 knockouts. Hopefully, the UFC probably hopes that he gets a win here over former champion Junior Dos Santos, and they now have a young, undefeated heavyweight prospect that they can sell as the new Mark Hunt, which us hardcores are going to eat up. We will. But Tuivasa, to me, doesn't seem, like the next guy, to be quite honest. Not that he's bad, but I don't think he has that legit one-punch knockout power, even though his knockout Rashad Coulter was insane. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch it, definitely. He struggled with Andrei Arlovski, a guy that has noticeably been chinny his entire career, let alone as of late. Junior Dos Santos, even though he's a guy that has been fading, a guy that's still not the same guy he was in his prime, I still believe he has something there, both in terms of some athletic ability present at this moment and also just his skill set. He is a phenomenal boxer. Tuivasa's best skill set is his boxing. And I would say JDS has better boxing fundamentals, technique. Tuivasa, his best hope is to smother Junior Santos, swarm him, make an ugly fight, rough him up. But even then, I think Junior Santos should keep it at range and make it a fairly one-sided boxing match against Tuivasa. But again, I can't wait to dissect that one a little bit closer to the fight. Should be a fun heavyweight slugfest and could potentially bring out a new heavyweight contender where that division is starving of one. Moving on to some actually, I'm not going to say shocking news, but news I was not expecting. Flash Entertainment selling its 10% of the UFC to William Morris Endeavor, which is the full parent company of the UFC at this point. Flash Entertainment is a Saudi Arabian, Abu Dhabi media conglomerate. I don't know which one exactly, but it's a Middle Eastern media conglomerate that wanted to bring fights to Abu Dhabi. And the UFC brought 2. In the 8 years of their partnership, they have brought 2 fight cards to that market. So Flash Entertainment was probably thinking when they bought it for 100 to 170 million, the number was not confirmed at the time. Bought it for a pretty penny. They could probably get it doubled now in terms of their investment. 2010 UFC was right before the Fox deal, right before the Reebok deal. So much has happened since then. They have probably made double their money on their investment, let's be honest. But it's going to be interesting to sort of note that even though Flash Entertainment was a silent partner, they in theory did not have really any control over the UFC and its operations. William Morris Endeavor is now the sole owner of the UFC. They bought up the Fertitta's last little bit of it, which was around 5 or something %. They bought up now Flash Entertainment. Zuffa is no longer owning it at all. William Morris Endeavor has complete ownership of the UFC from my understanding of it. Though they did, at one point, there's rumors and talks of them selling off stake in the company to celebrities they represent. Because if you don't know, William Morris Endeavor, i.e., WMEING is the acronym for it. They are a Hollywood talent agency. So they represent people like Mark Wahlberg, I want to say. You know, people like that, of that ilk, right? And I think like The Rock is a WME actor. You know, there's a bunch of big A-listers that are part of WME. They did rumored to sell off some stock in the company to these celebrities. How much was sold, for what price, God knows what it is. But again, just WME, sole ownership of the UFC seemingly at this point. Moving on to some more news and announcements. Again, call in 323-870-4051. Press 1 to get in the queue, or press email me, mixsummitradio@gmail.com, to get that international call-in link. Hit the like button, share the show, subscribe. Some more fight announcements. Bobby Green versus Drakkar Klose for the last UFC on Fox event. Fantastic lightweight fight. Drakkar Klose picking up a great win against, what's his name? God, why am I forgetting it right now? Come on, Matt. Come on. I'm going to look it up right now. Who is it? Lando Venata. Thank you. I was going to say Ally Quinta, but I'm like, no, it's another weird name. Lando Venata and Bobby Green pick up a good win against Eric Coach. Going to be interesting to see who can win that one. Drakkar Klose, a guy that with limited experience, limited skill set, but insane athleticism. Bobby Green, more of a all-around fighter, good boxing. Going to be interesting to see if he can sort of bounce back and have a resurgence in his career when he once had a ton of hype. Last news of the day before we head out of here. Again, if you want to call in, 323-870-4051. Press 1 to get in the queue. But Paige Van Zandt's arm officially healed and cleared to fight on the debut ESPN card in January. Reminder that at this time, it seemed that the first ESPN card will have Yoel Romero versus Paulo Bohachina Costa, Paige Van Zandt versus Rachel Ostovich, and I do not know who else. Nothing has been officially confirmed yet, and I wonder why. I wonder why they're sort of waiting off on sort of announcing these ESPN slate. Bayside Boxing saying, why don't mention Umar Salamov versus Denis Lebe? Should be a great fight. Too much rumor talk and none on Umar Salamov versus Denis Lebe, because that fight does not matter. That's why. Nobody cares about that fight, and including me. But anyways, Matt Tips Hunter. You can find me at Matt Hunter MCR. Obviously, hit the like button, share the show, subscribe. Patreon.com/MixSummer Radio helps support the show financially. But again, you can also do that 3 ways. Like I've said, hit the like button, share the show. Or if you listen on podcast form, drop that review, because I believe tomorrow we have some new ones. Or we have some new ones. Tomorrow, I'm going to read some of them off. So if you want to get that in for tomorrow's show, which will be our preview show of all of the weekend's action. So Danny Garcia versus Sean Porter, UFC 228, Woodley versus Till, and obviously Superfly 3, all going to be previewed tomorrow. Coach May saying, you spoke about Kanye. Yes, that was obviously the first topic of the day. Come on. Baystar Boxing, mentioning fights. Some guy versus Hank Lundy. Dennis Celebrity coming back at heavyweight. Yeah, okay. Cool. Awesome. Bayside Boxing, you can start your show at any time and get news off. Bayside Boxing, McCon versus Vargas matters. Get the fuck out of here. No. Manny Pacquiao versus Kell Brook and Amir Khan. That matters. And until you get that fanboyism out your ass, you won't understand that, apparently. Bayside, it's okay. Not all of us can be smart. It happens. It is what it is. But you could have called in and actually talked instead of just being a YouTube commenter with no name, with a fake avatar, being a nobody. But anyways, digressing. Have a great day. Peace.